Tonight, we want to make sure to wrap this up in time to get our graduation kicked off on time. So this is our on-deck chair. These are our first, these are our first folks who are demoing. They're up here, they're ready. Please take the time to vote on these demos. Visit demonight.herokuapp.com, and you should be able to vote on each of these presentations. For the presenters, please be sure to say the name of your project as you're wrapping up so people know what to vote on. That's all I have. Let's go ahead and let's welcome this first group.
Well, my name is Nick Teets. I'm in the front-end program Mod 4 for a couple more hours here, unless I really screw something up in the next 5 minutes.
And I'm Robbie Greiner. I'm also Mod 4, graduating here in a little bit. So our app is called Construction Forms. And kind of a background on me and how we came up with this project. I spent 5 years as a construction project engineer, so I would be part of management teams for large construction projects. And kind of one of the problems that I faced was every day we would have forms that needed to be filled out by 200 plus people. So the amount of work that went into printing those forms out, collecting them, organizing them, some of them involved data entry after the fact. That was kind of a full-time job for an administrator. So this was an app I came up with to kind of solve this problem. And I'm going to show you the mobile app right here. So how this would work is a tradesperson would get on site. Their first day on site, they would create an account. So Amy Holt Welder here is signing in, creating an account and signing in. Cool. So she signed in. So she gets there at the beginning of the day, and she's going to be welding on site. This is a pretty common form. Most large construction sites, you need to fill out a hot work form, to meet the requirements, so we're not, catching the building on fire. And we also need the documentation that the worker's following the correct procedures, when they're doing that hot work. So he's checking the boxes, putting in the fire watch requirement. That's a pretty standard thing. He's going to go ahead and sign this form at the bottom. And then he's going to click submit and submit that form. So Amy Holt just submitted a hot work form for the day. And then, as an administrator now, I'm going to pass it over to Nick, and he's going to show you our web app that the administrators are going to be using.
So the other visual part of this project is our web app. This is the web application for construction forms, and we wanted to keep it really simple. We wanted to do one thing and do one thing well, which was to be able to create and submit forms. So if there was an incident on a job site for our employee we just created, we could choose this employee and see the form that they've just submitted.
Yeah, so being able to, pull this data from this web app and have all of it, there's already cuts out so many steps that an administrator would have to do on a job site. And the front end, or the mobile app, we built with React Native, which a lot of you are familiar with. If you know React, it's really easy to get going in React Native. It still functions the exact same as React, but you're talking about some different visual components. So getting good with the docs really helped me out on that.
The web app was built with React as well, which is a JavaScript library. So we were using both React and React Native, which are quite different, but we were able to use our knowledge of React that we got here at school to help us with the React Native part. And then the back end, the database that's hosting this information was built with another JavaScript library called Node.js with Express and Connects on top of that.
Yeah, this is all, the back end and the actual web app are live on Heroku. So, really, the native app is running in an emulator, but we are real-time communicating with a real-life database. So really bringing those three pieces together was super cool. And then kind of moving on from here, we're going to keep working on this. And something that makes sense to implement would be an offline functionality with the app. So, if a worker fills out a form and they don't have service or they don't have Wi-Fi, it kind of queues and eventually uploads once they get connectivity again.
And we'd be able to export the data as an Excel sheet, as well as build sort of a CMS so people could create forms from the web application. And that is Construction Forms. Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Maria St. Louis Sanchez. I'm Mod 3 front end, and my project is Accountable Colorado. So about 6 months ago, I quit a journalism job that I loved because I was doing the job that was once held by 3 different people. What that meant was that on a daily basis, I could barely cover the breaking news and I couldn't go deep. I couldn't do the job that I needed to do. What happened in my newsroom is happening across the country. There are far fewer journalists now than there were a decade ago. That means there are fewer people tracking the news, fewer people requesting open records and publishing them, and fewer people looking after our lawmakers, tracking them, and holding them accountable. That's where my app comes in. I'm hoping to fill in the gaps that journalists unfortunately have right now. So what my app does is a tool for people to search for their lawmakers, see what bills their lawmakers are passing, see what bills their lawmakers are sponsoring, and also search for bills that they're interested in and track those bills in real time to see how they're progressing through the legislature. My app is based on the Open States API. It's a great resource. Basically, it has people from across the country scraping state legislative databases on a daily basis. What that means, though, is there's a lot of data to go through. You know, in Colorado, there's at least 100 lawmakers. Last year alone, there's 800 bills, and every single lawmaker and bill has a ton of data. So my challenge was going through each one and trying to find the most pertinent information and displaying it in a way that's easy and usable for people to see. So here's how it works. So say you live at Turing, which is kind of true anyway. Okay. You can see that your lawmakers are Cristina Duran and Lucia Guzman. From here, you can learn more about either one of them. Click on that her, and you get her details page right here. Right now, you know how to contact her. You know what committee she's in. And perhaps most importantly, you know what kind of bills she's sponsoring and how well those bills are getting turned into laws. Now, the state legislative session just started yesterday, so you can see so far in the session that she's already started 2 different laws. And in last year's session, she has already turned some bills into laws as well. So if you click on any of these different bills, you can learn more about these individual bills. So from here, you can see that this was signed by the governor. You can click out here to get the full bill description. You can learn more about the individual sponsors of the bills by just clicking there. That goes back to the details page. And then, most importantly, you can see in real time what actions were taken on this bill and be able to track and see how this bill made it through. If you want to learn more about bills, about things that you're interested in, just simply search on the bills. Say, for example, you're interested in bills on marijuana. So you can just search there. Go in there, and then you can see that bill's details page. So in the future, I love the Open States API. What I'd like to do, though, is to create my own API from the Colorado Secretary of State's office. They have a lot of data about campaign finance contributions. Right now, nobody's really tracking that very well. So I'd like to be able to clean that up and add that into here, so that way you can also see what kind of campaign finance contributions our lawmakers are getting. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Hugh Hardigan. I am front-end Mod 3, progressing into Mod 4. My project is Our Planet. So with the onset of a lot of nature documentaries and things like that, such as Blue Planet, Planet Earth, and in the past year I've started to become more compassionate towards animals and life on the planet in general. I've been a vegetarian since February. I've realized that I've gotten more and more invested in the welfare of the planet, and I think that's something that often goes neglected is the animal welfare, not just in terms of dogs and cats and things that are in urban areas, but animals all over the world. In trying to search for the database that I could use for this website, I found it really difficult to find something that was usable to be able to pull data from, that was quick and accessible, and a lot of endangered animals were buried under a mountain of text, and you'd have to go through a lot of channels to actually be able to see those animals. And I think that's something that's really powerful with Blue Planet and Planet Earth, is being able to connect to those animals and see them and resonate with them, and it connects on a more immediate level. So what our planet does is I scraped data for 83 different animals, built my own backend in Node.js, and set that up in an API. The front-end web application is then built in React Redux with Router, and it pulls that information from the API that's hosted on Heroku. So the site itself, I did all of the branding and graphics for it. My background is in art, so I wanted to bring that to the project to make it a little more personal. So from here, you can scroll down, and I think the opening statement is maybe one of the best things I think that can speak to the project. So it says, Our Planet is a student-led initiative meant to bring awareness to endangered animals across the world through detailed facts and beautiful photographs. While most strive to be aware of other people in need, it is less frequent that we pay mind to other species that cohabitate this world with us. This site puts a face to those animals with the greatest need and hope that their plight resonates with someone somewhere. When you have time to unplug and breathe fresh air, remember that Earth isn't your planet or my planet, but our planet. So the React, I wanted to do a couple different things. I wanted it to be highly visual, so I built an interactive map. This is all in SVG, and they're all wrapped in link components, so they'll link to a dynamic route. All of the animals have an associated one-to-many ID attribute in the database, so you can see that there are currently no endangered animals in Europe. However, if you go to a different continent, say North America, you can see all of the animals that are endangered in North America specifically. You click on one, that animal also has a page with its own stats, and it also has facts about it, as well as why it's important to its particular region. If you go back further, moving away from the map, you can search animals based on what's in the database from the 83 animals. There's also filter buttons to do alphabetically by default. You can also search by their status of endangered level, whether it's vulnerable, critically endangered, or endangered, and you can also filter by habitat. So if, for instance, we wanted to search for elephants, we can see that any elephants that are endangered are in Africa and Asia. If we wanted to go and change that filter, we can see what the status of each of those animals is, and it persists with your search term. So we can see that the Borneo pygmy elephant here is endangered. We can go here, see more facts about it, and then go back, and our search here persists. If we try to look for something, say we're really interested in like a howler monkey, this animal's not endangered, and this box is also not styled. So, ideally, the idea behind this was with the beautiful photos. I scraped all those myself as well. So moving forward, I would like to be able to get regional data about all of those animals through Google Maps API as well. So this was Our Planet. I'm Hugh Hardigan. Thank you.
I guess we'll just get going. Good evening, I'm Rob Morgan, and this is Thomas Laird, and we're front-end mod 3, and we created Snap Ninja. And Snap Ninja began as an idea to encourage collaboration and teamwork between students, and it's targeted towards high school age students and up. And the idea is that you can award points and give comments to teammates who have done awesome things or who have otherwise been awesome humans. And Thomas is going to talk about the tech stack.
Yeah, so the front end was built on a React Router and Redux stack. We did some data visualization using Victory.js. We've got a backend. It's a Node Express server with a Postgres table. And then we wrote our Postgres queries using Connects. We also use the Slack API to do some slash command stuff. And then we have authentication via AuthRocket. So the way AuthRocket works is not change. AuthRocket provides us with a third-party authentication system. So we're using OAuth, and when we click on the login button in the top right, it redirects us to a third-party page where the person can authenticate via GitHub. This way we can also easily add like Gmail or Facebook authentication at a later date. That returns a JWT, which we strip out and pass into local storage, which then allows us to verify all future transactions with our backend.
So I'm going to talk about the basics of what it does. When you first log in, you'll be able to join a group or create a group. You can create a group, you give it a name, you get to decide how many points you want each user to be able to award to teammates each week. And then you can give the pass key, it'll give you a pass key, and you can pass on to teammates right here. So once they join, you'll have this user page and a group page. In your user page, you'll see you have this many points remaining in this to give away this week. This is Thomas's page, this is how many he's received this week. We've got this thing live and working for our cohort already. And go down to here, you can type in however many points you want to award. You've got an autocomplete to choose a teammate. I guess we'll give some to Hugh for having a great presentation. I'm not going to type that all out, but we can send some points over to Hugh. And then the comments that you leave will show up on his page. So he'll be able to see that on his already. Also, we have data viz down here so you can see how you're doing personally. And there's a group page. So for our cohort, you can see how many points have been awarded so far this week. There's a leaderboard of up to 5 givers and earners. And some data viz for your group as well. It'll keep track up to a year of time. It's kind of been a cool thing for our cohort already, just to get started with. A few of them tried to break it a few times, which actually happened a little bit. So thank you for breaking it for us.
Yeah, and last, we have our Slack integration. So we just wanted to add an extra feature so you can send points directly via Slack instead of having to log into the front end. So Rob will show you. All you have to do is type /snap into the chat, and then the @ of the user you want to give points to. And then
I'll give some to me.
Yeah. Followed by the number of points you want to send out. And that will put an in-channel message just kind of detailing like what happened. And then if Rob were to log into his page, again, that would appear on his page. So just an extra feature we added.
Yeah, and then finally, it's deployed live. So it's got a Node.js backend that's up on Heroku, and then we've got the page up live here on that website that you see there. So we would encourage anyone to feel free to use it for your own cohort if you like. We'd love to hear how it works and what you think of it. It's right there. And that's it.
Hi, I'm Bruce, Mod 2 front end.
James, also Mod 2 front end, soon to be Mod 3.
This is our game called Nightfall. It was originally based off a game called Towerfall, a player versus player game. So over the course of the last game time, it evolved into our own version, so we called it Nightfall.
We're currently on level 1. We've got 2 different player modes. We have a co-op player mode, which we're currently playing. You can see up at the top we're trying to defeat 50 monsters that currently killed 18. And then we have a versus player mode where the 2 players trying to compete to kill each other.
Yeah, so player 2's dead. Let's actually show level 2.
So this is all built in JavaScript using just regular vanilla JavaScript with ES6 syntax and HTML canvas.
Okay. We've got power-ups, we've got different classes. This level, we're supposed to defeat the boss. The instructions are at the top. You can see when they collect power-ups, you either get speed, they can get invincibility, they can get additional lives. That's our monster coming out right now. And he's got 20 lives.
As represented by the health bar. So we've got power-ups, those are little green things down at the bottom there. All the art here is open source, so we either source tile sets and then I compile them into the levels, or we went online to like Open Game Art and a few different other open art sources and got sprites for the boss enemy and the little characters, and then some of it I drew myself. So, yeah. All right. So now we're going to move on to level 3.
So level 3, we made over break. This one, we changed up the transport rules. So normally when you fall to the bottom, you'll come to the exact same spot on the top. If you go to the left or right, you'll be transported to the same spot. But this one, the transport rules have been changed. So you come at a different angle. The goal in this map is to collect the little scrolls in the middle. Once you grab them, this hound dog will come after you. It jumps out at you, and it can track you.
Yeah, our goal was to create like a dynamic multiplayer game where the level, like the objective changes level to level. A lot of games, it's the same thing each level. You're either side-scrolling across a long thing and like hope of getting to the end, or you're just killing enemies. So we tried to make it a little bit more dynamic from level to level.
Right, and the last thing we wanted to show was the versus mode. So we thought it would be entertaining to have a Louisa versus Jeff deathmatch. So someone on to these.
All right, Jeff, choose your character. You're the assassin.
Amazing.
Just look at the screen.
You're on the right. That is very exciting. Yeah, we hope in the future to be able to link all the levels together better and get it live up online. Hope you guys enjoyed. We are Bruce and James. This is Nightfall.
I don't know how video games work.
Okay, hello. Now that night has fallen, we have a star app to show you, which is kind of fitting. My name is Katie Scruggs. I'm Julie Hawkins. And we both just finished Mod 3 at Turing. Thank you. Yeah, so we made an app on mobile called Stella Via, which shows the user what constellations they can see in their night sky. And we decided to build this in React Native, which neither of us knew anything about 3 weeks ago, and also Redux. So let's go ahead and get started by tapping the first button, which is Tonight. So if there's no location in the Redux store, then the user is taken to this page, which prompts them to enter a location, and we can use Get Current Location. That simply uses navigator.geolocation to give us the latitude and longitude, and then we were also able to get the city and state, so the app knows that we are here in Denver, Colorado tonight.
Alright, so on tonight's sky, you can see a list of the constellations at your latitude and longitude tonight. So you can scroll down and see which constellations you can view. You can click on a constellation if you'd like to see more about that constellation. We found all this constellation data at Wisconsin University's astronomy page, and we compiled it all ourselves. So you can, see each one and data about that each one. We filtered the constellations on this page according to which one is best seen in this month, as well as last month and next month, just so you have a nice comprehensive view of the season. So let's go ahead and look at our star map.
So we're really excited about our star map because it was actually difficult to find a resource that gave us this view of the stars just like we wanted. So right now it orients you toward the north, and so you can point yourself north, find the stars in your sky, and then use the scroll to see what's all around you. We're hoping to integrate the compass feature of phones into this data as well, and we were able to start that this week, but it wasn't quite smooth, and so we wanted to show you a smooth version tonight.
So while you're on this star map, let's go ahead and change locations and see what another hemisphere looks like. So we're going to go to Sydney, Australia, and we'll see what the sky looks like in the southern hemisphere. We go to a new location, and you can see that this night sky looks different in Australia than it does here in Denver. And again, you can scroll around, and eventually, like Katie mentioned, we will integrate a foam compass into this as well, so that you can dynamically change it as you move. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to our next page, which is the daily image. So this page uses the NASA Astronomy Image of the Day API. So we're able to pull in a new image every day. This one's really cool. It's Dragon's Heart in Aura. And if you click on image details, you can see more details about this image. And if the description is long, you can scroll. All right, so let's move along to our last page, Explore.
So when the user first goes to the Explore page, they are given a comprehensive list of all of the constellations in the sky, and there are 88 of them. We also added a dynamic search feature so that you can search for a particular constellation if you would like to know more about that. And you can also filter by the seasons, which are each 3 months long. We did the filter calculations for that.
And for the next steps for this app, we would really love to incorporate some light pollution data for the user so that they would know if they actually stepped outside at their latitude and longitude, if they'd be able to visualize and see in the sky a certain constellation. So we've been in contact with somebody who has scripts to use for a Google Maps overlay so that the light pollution data is very easy to read. So that is the next steps for our app.
Just a reminder for those of you who are coming in a little bit late, vote. These apps that are being demoed, there's voting that's up for them. So demonight.herokuapp.com. Please go ahead and vote on these. There will be another demo night first week of the next mod in front with some other judges with in different space. So that will help determine us for us who goes through.
Can people online vote too? Can anybody vote?
As long as they have GitHub.
Okay. Cool.
Hi everyone. My name is Aaron Schreck, and I have the distinct privilege of being the first back-end presentation that you all see tonight. I need everyone to please just take a deep breath and lower your expectations, because this is about as good as it's going to get in terms of visual fireworks. You can notice I have 1% edge rounding on there, and I was really... So I was really intrigued, the big innovations of recent web tech, of Twitter, Facebook following, the concept of following and having content delivered to you, rather than going to find content. And so I decided to make what I now see as the worst version of Accountable Colorado, for politicians with Congress. So this is an app where you can sign in, make an account. For the sake of time, I've already signed in. We can here visit our dashboard, which we'll see from the beginning is empty and just has a nice welcome Aaron tag there. We're going to go and follow politicians. So I use the ProPublica API to download a list of all active congressmen, and then I downloaded basic data for that, saved into my database, and exposed my own API to hit this with AJAX calls to auto-populate a drop-down. So let's go to Colorado. So we now see a list of all these congresspeople that you can follow. Let's follow Michael Bennett. Michael Bennett, yeah. So now we see he's been added to our dashboard. We're seeing the most recent vote for Michael Bennett. And then let's go down here, and actually for the sake of, I'll just grab one for now. So we can unfollow Michael Bennett, but we don't want to do that because we like him. Now we're going to go and see more votes. So now see a dynamic feed of ProPublica's recent vote history. So we have a graph on how, so you can see how your politician has been voting, whether they've been voting yes on a lot of things and no on a lot of things. And you can see a list of every vote that the Senate or Congress has taken a part of that they have voted in. And so this includes nominations, judicial approvals, et cetera, et cetera. And for bills specifically then, we can click on the View Bill button and see more details about this bill. So we have a title, we have, you can get an idea of who has sponsored it, whether it's a bipartisan or a partisan piece of legislation. small summary of what is going on, and then different a history of the votes that have been taken on this. So some bills are still in progress. Some bills have been approved, as this one is simply passed the House. And so then you can sort of see this information on the politicians and the votes that you followed. Thank you very much. This has been my Congress.
Somebody wants to know what the URL is. Somebody online wanted to know if they can find it.
Oh, to go to it?
Yeah. Can they?
Yes. How can I deliver that to them?
You can just say it real quick. I don't know.
So it's
or tell them we'll post it later.
Yeah, I'll post it later. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Jesse. I just finished Mod 3 in the front end program. And for some reason during Mod 3, I decided I was going to start investing in cryptocurrency. I wouldn't recommend that in Mod 3 because it's extremely distracting. It's extremely volatile. Your money disappears and doubles on the same day. And when you first start investing, it's really confusing. All of these websites and these exchanges offer you a ton of information, but I knew that I invested X amount of money, and all I cared about was what it was worth at that moment. So I made a simple crypto tracking app that just had none of that nonsense in it. And as I was saying, most crypto apps today, they just offer a ton of information, and all that extra information, if you've already purchased, that's available to find in the exchange itself. So it's already accessible if you need it. This is an example of a website that I like to look at, but the thing that drove me crazy was that this green highlight, every time the price just marginally changed, even by a penny, it would flash green, or if it went down, it would flash red. So it's just flashing like a Christmas tree the whole time you're trying to figure out how much your portfolio is worth. I decided to use this API because it was really accessible. And this is an example of the exchange that I'm on. And again, all of this other information, 24-hour low, and the volume, the trade volume, its relative price according to another cryptocurrency that you don't actually know the price of off the top of your head, it's all extremely confusing. So CoinWatch was designed to be only the information you want. I used React, Router, and Redux, and then Firebase for the backend. So let's check it out. This is the landing page. You can click to get started. It directs you straight to the home page. And all I've got listed, and this is kind of like first iteration, if I marketed this in the future, I would allow users to configure this to show the information that they want. But the most basic thing is you've got your top coins by market cap, the price, and then how it's performing as of that day in the last 24 hours. Now there's over 1,200 coins, so I just list the top 100 to begin with, but I have filter functionality, so now you can see all 1,200 coins. You can sort by the highest. So Kiwi coin is doing pretty well. Fuzzballs is coming in real strong. And let's see, we sort by the lowest. Russia coin is probably up to no good, so that's down. And you can go back to the market cap, but there's a couple of other fun ones. So we've got Corgi coin. It's taking a hit, but it might be a good time to buy. So we'll try to we'll watch that one. Oh crap. Okay, so we're not logged in. So you'll make an account. Let's just do a test at email.com and password. All right. So you failed to log in. Let's sign up. And I didn't clear the input, so it's really easy for you to just go ahead and use what you had signed in. And when you first create an account, you won't have a portfolio built, and you won't have a watch list, so you'll have to go back to the home page, and then you can add coins there. And then if you don't really care about Bitcoin Cash, you can remove it. I'm logged in on another one, so this is what a portfolio would look like. And this is probably the most frustrating thing when I was new into investing is that every app that's out there, it wants to sync with the exchange that you're in. So then you actually have to manually go back through your exchange, find the order that you placed, the date and time, the price. You have to plug all of that in. But like I said, all I care about is what my money's worth. So if I say I I don't remember what I paid for it, but I do have 1 Bitcoin. I can add it, and that populates into your portfolio, and all these numbers on the right represent the price reflected by the amount that you own, and then your total is the sum of all of these. So even if you had 100 Dogecoins, it'd only be worth $1. It might not be a good investment. You can remove it from your portfolio, and then you still have your watch list. And there were some perks to using Firebase. If I go home and I refresh, I don't have the fear of getting kicked out. So this is live on GitHub pages if you choose to use it, and if you're new to crypto, it's just a really clean interface with none of the bullshit.
Can I just connect? Will it go away? Will his go away? Like it's gone.
Hello, my name is Becky Strove, and I'm graduating from the back-end program tonight. And this is SitterSwap. So what I'm attempting to do with SitterSwap is bring dog owners together to help reduce the cost of pet boarding and pet sitting. So my front end is written in React, and my back end is written in Express and Connects. So basically, for those of you that aren't dog owners, it's super expensive whenever you go on vacation to try and board your dog. Those 2 lovely animals there are my babies, and the yellow one has some special needs, and he actually can't be boarded. So whenever it's time to go on a vacation, we have a friend that will help us out, and they'll watch our dogs, and then when they go on vacation, we'll watch our dogs. But if they're not available, my only other option is to hire a dog sitter to come stay at my house, which is even more expensive than putting your dog in a boarding facility. So SitterSwap is aiming to help relieve that problem. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to log in as a brand new user that's never logged in before. So I'm going to sign up with a new account. I'm just going to, for the sake of time, do that. And you'll see that this sign-up form comes up to input some additional information that I need and that other users might want to see. Once I fill out this form, it's going to go to a user profile page. I'm not going to waste your time and fill it out now. Instead, I'm going to log out and log in with the user that I've already created. So we're going to log in as John. Here you'll notice that that page doesn't come up to ask you to create your own information or fill your information. Instead, his profile comes up. I can add dogs to his account. Once again, I'm not going to waste your time, so I'm just going to put some gibberish there. And then his dog information will come up. I can edit and delete that dog information. Oops. Sorry. When I go to John's dashboard, you'll notice that there's not a whole lot there right now because he hasn't created any sitter requests. You'll also notice that John has 3 paws. So right now, when you create an account, you get 3 paws that you can spend on. Those paws basically represent nights that somebody else can watch your dog. So I'm going to go and create a sitter request. And let's say John wants to go to Mazatlan and do some snorkeling for the weekend. Gonna make some fake data. Now you'll notice that John has 3 paws. That means he can only get a sitter for 3 nights. So if I try to put more nights in, it's not going to allow me to make that request. So once I back it down to 3 nights, I can make that sitter request. And you'll notice that now down here in my dashboard, I have an active trip that comes up for Mazatlan. And if I go to view sitter requests, that trip will also show up there. If I click view, I'm going to go to this page, which looks very similar to the user profile page, but you'll notice that it doesn't have a lot of the personal information that was on that page. So this is a page that's available to anybody that wants to view this sitter request. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log out of John's profile and log into Jane's profile, and she's going to actually respond to John's sitter request. So when I go to Jane's, was that me? When I go to Jane's dashboard, here's John's sitter request. She can apply to it. She can send him a message. And if I go to my inbox now, I'll notice that there's my message that was sent to John. Very quickly, I'm going to log out and go back into John. Now when I go to John's dashboard and I click on responses, there's Jane's response that she sent to him. I can view her profile. What I'm going to do is I'm going to accept that request, and you'll notice that it went away from my active trip panel. And I've now also, I have this message that Jane sent me saying that she wants to watch my dog. If I go to my sent mail, there's a message that I sent Jane saying like, hey, I've approved you. And if I go to my accepted trips, there's that Mazatlan trip. Once I hit completed, it moves into my completed trips, where I can later hit done, and once I hit done, which I'm not quite sure why that's not showing up right now, it will change my pause. So you can gain and earn pause based off of the trips that you have requested. And eventually I'm hoping to add a feature that will allow users to rate their experience with other users, and eventually move this over to single parents, maybe to help watch their kids as well. So you can sign up to babysit each other's kids. Thanks.
Roll Tide, yeah, let's get started. Hi everybody, my name is Marshall Houston. I prefer or use he, him pronouns, and I'm just finishing up Mod 3 in the backend program. So tonight I'm excited to show you Matchup. It is not a dating app. I know the name may sound like that. So a year ago, I was teaching middle school math. It was my 6th year here in DPS, and I decided to make a change. Right? I knew that I wanted something different, so I decided to come to Turing. I was really excited to begin to learn technical skills to be able to solve real-world problems. I think that this app actually solves a real-world problem. So the problem that it solves is helping teachers and students understand what colleges in Colorado that they're strong applicants for, they're average applicants for, or below average applicants for. So my roommate, who's in the crowd here, teacher, what's up, Rocky? So he works with his students, and he takes them through this chart. Super, super friendly, right? So this chart on the y-axis has our high school GPAs, and on the x-axis has the SAT scores, right? So works with students, imagine 32 16-year-olds. What's your GPA? What's your SAT score? Cool, let's go across, let's find the intersection. That's your score. Now what do we do with that score? Well, we now scroll down in this awesome PDF, and we take a look and we say, hey, here are the Colorado public universities, public colleges, and this is their minimum score. So now, right, they're having to hold in this idea of like, what was my GPA, what was my SAT, what's my score, okay, now what schools, and then now we can start to plan, okay, where are you now, where do you want to go, and then how can we get there? Right, this doesn't make sense. So I was like, hey, I'll use my technical skills that I learned here at Turing. So I decided to build an app. That app is called Matchup. So this app uses Google OAuth. So every student in Baki's class in DPS has a Gmail login. So they'll be able to log in. So we come to their dashboard. So I, as a user, I've already entered my scores. But let's say I've got a GPA. I've been working really hard, right? I'm going to say, hey, my GPA is now at 3.2. My SAT scores, I'm at 1160. So once I click Match Up, it takes me to my dashboard, or my scorecard. As a backender, getting this chart to render like animation, I felt really excited about. Like a big deal. So we're in the green, and so this is a fairly strong score. The first thing that the students will see is the strong candidate for admission. So based on this GPA, based on this SAT, they're now strong candidates for these public colleges and universities in Colorado. So now they can go and take a look, they can view them, like, oh, look at this, like, I'm so excited, I'm at, these now, 8, 10 schools. And so I'm really excited to be able to allow students to enter their GPA, enter their SAT, immediately see where they'll be strong applicants. What was most exciting for me is like trying to play on the idea of if you give students data and give them opportunities to visualize that data, they can start making real decisions and they can start changing their behavior to reach and to create a future that they want. So one of the first thing in that iteration is taking a look at the GPA chart. So I built an internal API to serve up this data. So it takes the last 5 GPA requests, goes ahead and plots this on this chart. Same thing for the SAT scores, and same thing for the overall score. What I'm really excited about moving forward into this future is being able to allow students to pick a school that they're interested in, and then be able to see how do my scores compare, and then that way teachers and high school counselors can start to plan and create that better future. So that's Matchup. My name is Marshall Houston. Thank you all so much.
I'm Lola.
I'm Jen.
And we're graduating from the front-end program tonight. This is our capstone project. It's called Mental Healthy. And I don't know if you've ever tried to search for a mental health professional that's relevant to your insurance and needs, but it's not easy. Especially in a more diverse community, you will have more diverse needs regarding a professional needing to be non-religious or queer-friendly, or just maybe you have a certain specialized challenge that it's difficult to find someone that can speak to it, and then of course finding someone that takes your insurance is a nightmare. So this project is still in its infancy, but we're really excited about what it can do, or what it will be able to do in the future, and so we kind of want to tell you about that first. So it's an application to search for mental health professionals in your area by insurance or specialty, so you can find the perfect match for your circumstances, and also be a way to connect with other mental health conscious people anonymously via a live chat feature by searching for the user, by filtering them through their self-identified mental health challenges. And then other features we're excited about is having real data for the Denver area mental health professionals. Right now we're just kind of playing around with some fake data. And also scalability so that the app can be implemented for other areas. There's a panic button that would send a text to the mental health hotline via Twilio, personalizable toolbox of mental health resources, and making the application entirely accessible. But Jen's going to show us what the app can do right now.
Okay, so on the front end, we split this up between the two of us. Lola built out the front end using React, Redux, React Router, and Material UI. I built out the back end using Node, Express, PostgreSQL, and Connects. And so let's take a look at the app. Okay, so when you go to the app, it takes you to the login page. For the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and log in with the user that's set up. We are currently using Firebase for OAuth here, so you can log in with your Google account. When you log in, you come to your dashboard here. There's a button for chat, which is a future feature that we'll implement. You can look at your preferred professionals, which I don't have any of now. You can look for friends, your toolbox, which is going to be a list of links of mental health resources that you can use. And then you can also view your profile, and you can edit it to change your about me or your mental health challenges that you currently experience. One thing that we did want to do is keep a level of anonymity here, so you can use any username you want so that you can protect your identity. One big thing we wanted to do was be able to search for professionals. You can search based on specialty or on insurance. So let's look at specialties. Let's say we want a non-religious person and submit.
And this will bring up a list of professionals that meet the criteria that you added. You can click the plus to see more information about them, including the insurances they accept and the specialties that they serve. You can also add professionals to your favorites list. And so if there are professionals that you'd like to reach out to in the future, you can bookmark those and see a list of them here and remove them as needed. You can do the same thing for friends. And you can search upon their particular mental health issues and add and remove them as wanted. And so that's the base functionality that we have at this point. As Lila mentioned, we have a lot more that we're trying to add. One of our big challenges here was the back end. As Lila mentioned, we're front-end developers, and so a lack of experience in the back end, including in Mod 4 is the first time we touched the back end, and then also the complexity of our database schema, which looks like this, presented some challenges in our app. For instance, to add a professional, you have to interact with 5 different tables. But so we're really excited. This is kind of a passion project for us that we plan on continuing to work on after our graduation.
Yeah, please vote for us so you can see.
Vote for us so you can see the finished app.
Let's go ahead. Let's take 5 minutes. We'll come back. We'll get started right back up at 5:30. Thank you all.